This episode, I travel to the conspiracy-rich town of Albuquerque, New Mexico, as well as the surrounding desert to dive into the mysterious story of Girly Chew Hossencofft, who disappeared without a trace.
She knew that you were looking for her, and she knew
she was going to be hunted like the dog she was.
This case is riddled with perplexing questions. How does a man convince two seemingly good people to help him murder someone?
These creatures have been here way before mankind was ever thought of.
Who actually wielded the sword that ended Girly's life? And lastly, where is Girly? Despite a massive search effort, her body has never been found. Where was she taken? Could I uncover a significant link between her killer's strange beliefs and potential burial sites? I'll get to that discovery later. First, some backstory. It's September 10th, 1999, and a bank teller at Bank of America in Albuquerque, New Mexico gets pretty worried when her friend, 36-year-old Girly Chew Hossencofft, doesn't show up.
Was Girly there when you arrived?
No.
Did concern begin to mount as to the whereabouts of Girly Hossencofft?
Yes.
Why was it that you became so concerned so quickly?
Because Girly was never late.
Did you take any action at that point?
I called the police right away and told them that I had a staff member that hadn't showed up for work and I was very concerned and that I needed someone to go to her apartment.
The police went to Girly's apartment and confirmed that coworker's fears.
When I first entered the apartment, the first thing I noticed was the door frame showed that there had no visible signs of forced entry. To my right, I located 3 very obvious stains. I noticed a odor of bleach. Detective Gonzalez and Gunther tested the stains for blood, and it was a very bright reaction to the test.
The evidence trail goes cold for a few days until a highway worker driving in the desert over 100 miles from Albuquerque finds some items that make him quite uneasy. It's a sheet and a shirt with what looks like blood on them, as well as a piece of duct tape in a figure-8 shape, like it had been used to tie up someone's hands. He immediately calls the police. Driving across the country and getting all of this footage myself means that these documentaries take a long time to make, and I wouldn't be able to do it without the support of my sponsors. I want to thank Factor for not only making this video possible, but for helping me stay on track with my health goals through my hectic schedule. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. Factor supports wholesome eating made simple. Their menu has plenty of options for a wide variety of diet styles, including Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, Keto, or Vegan and Veggie. You can tailor your order even further with over 60 add-on options like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and beverages. For me, protein shakes are a great way to bring some added energy with me while on the road. I love how their meal plans are super flexible, so if I need more one week and less the next, I can easily adjust my order size or even skip a week if I'm away from home filming for a case. Essentially, Factor makes my life more simple, so I have more time to do the things I want. Head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50EricAllen to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. That's code 50EricAllen at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. Thank you, Factor, for supporting this channel. Back to the video. Girly Chew met her husband, Diazin Hossencofft, while visiting the U.S. from Malaysia. Diazin was charming and charismatic, and they married in 1993. But Diazin was also a liar. You see, Diazin wasn't even his real name. It was Armando Chavez Jr. He had changed his name after getting kicked out of medical school for lying on his application documents. He didn't have a PhD in molecular biology from Cornell or most of the other stuff on this application. Diazin was a con artist, and a pretty successful one at that. He made hundreds of thousands of dollars by telling women he was actually 2,000 years old, that he figured out a youth serum that has kept him alive all these years, and that they can use it too, for a price. One time, he took a trip to Canada and met a Japanese woman. This is during his marriage to Girly. He has an affair with this woman who subsequently gets pregnant. He convinces this woman that when the child is born, Diazin will raise him. But what is he going to tell Girly? He can't tell her that he had an affair, so he tells her that the baby boy is actually his and Girly's child, that he used Girly and his cells to conceive of the baby in a lab. We don't know if Girly actually bought this story or not, but we do know that she took in this child as her own. And this was actually the beginning of the end for her and Diazin's relationship. She absolutely loved this baby boy. And when Diazin started to become abusive with him, Girly began to question if she should stay with him. It wasn't long before she had moved out of their house and into her own apartment.
Did a time come when Girly Hossencofft and Diane Hossencofft split up?
Yes, in February of 1999.
And in context, that would be approximately 8 or 9 months before Girly Hossencofft disappeared.
Yes.
What was the reason that they split up?
Girly had left Diane Hossencofft due to domestic violence.
Did she tell you anything specific as to what her concerns were at that time?
That he was going to kill her.
Diane's financially successful con artist days were behind him. If Girly divorced him, he would lose half of everything they owned, including the house. But I think the story goes deeper than just that. I think Diane thought he was smarter than everyone around him. I think he felt if Girly divorced him and took half of their stuff, she would have conned him. And after manipulating so many people for his benefit, he could not allow the tables to turn on himself. He wasn't going to be a sucker like all those people he took advantage of. Okay, before we move on, we need to talk about a woman named Linda Henning. This is going to sound like a bit of a tangent, but I promise it will come full circle.
Who owns this planet? Well, I'm going to tell you that humanity does not. These creatures have been here way before mankind was ever thought of. Who owns this planet? Well, you're going to find out real soon.
Linda Henning was a kind woman. Her friends described her as a pacifist. She didn't even swear or drink alcohol. But she did have one quirk. She had an interest in UFOs and some conspiracy theories. She attended a conference led by a man named David Icke. It's there that she meets Diane Hossencofft and is immediately impressed by this man. He says he's a doctor and an ex-CIA agent after all. Who wouldn't be impressed? At this conference, she learns about how many people in positions of power, people like the Bush family, the Clintons, the Queen, are actually part of a race of shape-shifting reptilian creatures, human lizard hybrids, posing as humans and controlling the world. While this theory was kind of weird and fringe back in the day, it's actually become much more widespread today. And if you're on the internet much, you've likely heard about it.
Have you ever heard of lizard people, Pizzagate, or QAnon? Well, a quick internet search will reveal a whole world of modern conspiracy theories and cults.
Anyways, according to those who knew Linda, she had never really taken her alien fascination very seriously and was always somewhat grounded about it, until she met Diane. Within a week of meeting him, she sent this fax to a friend saying, "The markers and cryostasis tubes are at the end of my street. Help us. Help yourself." Diane took an interesting approach with Linda. He told her he was actually one of these alien reptilian humanoids, that he knew all the other reptilians in positions of power controlling the world, but he was a good one. He pretty much said, "Stick with me, and I'll make sure that when they take over the world, you are safe." Not only that, but he told her that she was actually a reptilian as well. And not just any reptilian, but a queen. And she fully bought it. He continued to tell her that his ex-wife Girly was a reptilian queen as well, but that she was particularly evil. And that if Linda didn't want the whole human race wiped out, they needed to kill her. In Linda's mind, the fate of the entire world was on her shoulders.
I believe that there is an incredibly strong alien presence on this planet, and I believe that they are involved in the United States government. I believe that they have an agenda of genocide, of eradicating the human presence on this planet.
It was a flawless plan. I mean, actually, if it wasn't flawless, you would have solved the murder by now. 3 years down the line, you still don't know what happened.
So what did happen? We actually do have some testimony from Diane on what happened to Girly, but it's difficult to tell what is the truth and what he's lying about, as it's likely a mixture of both. We'll get into some of his version of the story in a moment, but the police find cat hair and trace amounts of art sand and glitter in Girly's apartment, and on the items found off of Highway 60. Girly did not have a cat, and the source of the art sand and glitter could not be found. When they search Linda's apartment, they find the bottles of the same art sand and glitter and find that she had a cat. The police bring Linda in for an interrogation, and she seems surprisingly calm and collected.
How often did he talk about his wife? And when he did talk about her, how did he talk about her?
He said, well, they lived separate lives. He said they lived as man and wife for about 30 days, and she moved out of his bedroom.
How would you react if I told you that within the last month he smashed out his wife's windshield of the car?
I wouldn't believe that.
You wouldn't believe it?
No, I've never heard a foul word out of his mouth. He never raised his voice. He was always a gentleman.
They also find that the day before Girly didn't show up for work, the day that she was likely killed, Linda had purchased a sword. They found this sword in Linda's apartment. It tested positive for trace amounts of blood, but there was not enough to match the blood to any particular person. It's very likely this is the weapon used to kill Girly, and makes this drawing by Linda that much more ominous.
It was a Thursday, September 9th, 1999. At about 7 o'clock in the evening, a knock came to her front door. Girly Chew Hossencofft opened that door. And when she opened that door, she let death in.
But Linda claims that she had nothing to do with the murder, and Dazian's version of the story does support this. Both Linda and Dazian claim that this death that Girly let in was not Linda, but a man named Bill Miller, who we'll get to in a moment. Dazian claims that Linda was never part of the plan and never in the apartment. Well then, why was her blood there? How is he going to explain all of that away?
I entered the apartment. It's in disarray, which is okay because that's what I'm there for. I'm there to clean it up, remove the forensic evidence. Problem: there is blood on the carpet. Now we have injury inside the apartment. I have to make sure that that DNA sequence can't match to Girly Hossencofft.
The idea is to leave enough female DNA that it's not enough to identify somebody else.
Right. I must leave female DNA.
Dazian claims that he kept vials of blood in his refrigerator. Remember, he's a doctor. These vials of blood, he claims, are from his patients.
I make a mistake, of course, because I pulled the vial of female DNA out of the refrigerator. The only DNA sequence that's in the refrigerator that's female, it happens to be Mrs. Henning's. I have a job to do. I have this DNA that needs to be destroyed. I have to cover this up. The fact that I use her DNA, well, oh well.
The police didn't buy this vial of blood explanation.
I want to spend the last moments I had with you, ladies and gentlemen, talking about the carpet. That blood drop right there is Linda Henning's. That blood drop right there, that's Girly Hossencofft's. Linda Henning, Linda Henning, Linda Henning, Girly Hossencofft. What you're looking at here, ladies and gentlemen, is a battleground. Linda Henning believed that she was a queen. She believed that she had to do battle. Linda Henning did not know that Girly Hossencofft was ready to do battle too. Standing on this carpet, Girly Hossencofft struck Linda Henning. And when she did, Girly Hossencofft drew blood. Girly Hossencofft didn't win that fight, ladies and gentlemen. But in that fight, she exposed a murderer. And that murderer sits there, in that chair, in that pink dress, right now.
It's likely Dazian was lying about what happened in order to help Linda. He even claimed that Linda was his next victim, likely in order to make her seem more innocent in all of this.
Did Linda Henning have anything to do with the murder of Girly Hossencofft?
No. I don't care whether or not you kill this woman. You want to put the needle in her arm, go ahead. The only thing that's going to happen here is that you're going to kill my next victim.
Anyways, if according to Dazian, Linda didn't kill Girly, who did?
I would take care of the forensic evidence. Since I was most qualified, it was clearly that I must do that. The second part required just raw, brute skill. It is a sticky business. I don't need to worry about something like that. This was handled by Bill Miller.
Bill Miller kills animals, yes. He dismembers animals, yes. He's obsessed over weapons and knives, yes. Did he kill her? I don't know.
Investigators do believe this Bill Miller was there, but that he wasn't there alone. He was there to help Linda. We don't actually know a ton about Bill, but we know he was an outdoorsman and that he was a part of a group that met weekly to talk about alien conspiracies. Dazian and Linda were also in that group. Investigators believe Dazian convinced Bill to help Linda with the murder and disposal of the body. So what ended up happening to Dazian, Linda, and Bill? New Mexico is a capital punishment state, meaning if Dayezian went to trial and was convicted, he could receive the death penalty. Because of this, he pled guilty and received a life sentence plus 61 years. Linda was also at risk for receiving the death penalty, but she decided she was going to take her chances at trial.
I'm innocent. I've always said that since day one. I will be totally uncooperative.
We find the defendant, Linda Henning, guilty of first-degree murder, felony murder, as charged in the alternative to count 1.
Linda did escape the death penalty, but received a life sentence plus 43.5 years. She was offered a deal if she gave up where Girly's body was.
All I would have to do is tell him where the body is. If I knew where the body was, I could walk. I'm not interested in deals. I'm just interested in justice.
I would love to find Girly Hossencofft's remains and get her back to her family, but at this point, I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Bill Miller was charged with conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, kidnapping, and tampering with evidence. According to witnesses the investigator spoke with, Bill did believe Dayezian was an alien. Additionally, they found out that the day Girly was likely murdered, Bill opened a safety deposit box at his bank and put $10,000 in cash and about $12,000 in gold coins in it. The evidence tampering charge was from a time when he was brought in for an interrogation. He had a few business cards with him, I think Linda's and Dayezian's, that I guess he felt would make him look bad. So he decided to try to sneakily eat them. Well, the investigators noticed. This tampering with evidence charge is actually the only charge that stuck. The whole situation with Bill is a little convoluted and I'm simplifying a bit, but the conspiracy to commit murder and kidnapping charges were dropped when the case went before a grand jury for indictment. From what I researched, it seemed as if the prosecution was also relying heavily on Dayezian's testimony, which the grand jury just did not trust. Bill Miller claims that Dayezian did actually try to recruit him to help with the murder, but that he turned him down. Anyways, Bill was sentenced to 10 months of probation for the tampering with evidence charges. Okay, so while we don't know all the exact details, this is likely what happened. Linda killed Girly with the sword. Her and Bill got her body out of the apartment and disposed of her body somewhere west of Magdalena, New Mexico, off of Highway 60. While they were doing this, Dayezian cleaned up the apartment. But the big mystery of it all is, where is her body? According to Girly's family's religion, Girly's soul won't be at rest until she receives a proper burial.
I wanted to make sure that her parents knew and cried over 1,000 years over an empty grave. That's what I wanted.
I decided to do a little digging to see if I could find anything noteworthy. My thought process was that it was pretty obvious Dayezian didn't tell Linda and Bill the truth. He didn't say, hey, my ex-wife is going to divorce me and I'm going to lose half my stuff. Also, my ego is pretty bruised from her leaving my control. Will you help me murder her? I don't think they would have helped him if that's what he said. He needed to inspire them to help him. He needed to weave a story together that would compel them to believe that they were doing the right thing, fighting the good fight. That's where the alien queen thing comes into play in all of this. I thought to myself that if he needed a story to get Linda and Bill's help, could the story have included a specific location needed to get rid of her body? And could Girly be at that location? Like maybe he told them there's a specific crash site where our lizard ancestors first landed. This is where we need to put her body in order to really kill the alien queen, or something like that. So the first thing I did was try to find a location in New Mexico tied to the lizard people theories. I could only find this one, a mesa suspected of housing an underground base for the lizard people, but it was up north on the Colorado border, nowhere near the location the bloody evidence was found. I expanded my search a bit to just significant alien-related locations in New Mexico, and that's when I came across what's called the Very Large Array. The Very Large Array is a radio astronomy observatory made up of 28 radio telescopes, each spanning a huge 25 meters across. It's given us great insight into what lies in deep space. 2 years before the murder of Girly, the movie Contact, based on a novel by Carl Sagan, came out. In this movie, alien life reaches out to us humans and does it through the Very Large Array.
This morning's a detection of an unidentified radio source from deep space can neither be confirmed nor denied.
Whatever it is, it ain't local.
It is our belief that the message contains instructions for building some kind of machine.
A machine?
It might turn out to be some kind of a transport.
So where exactly is it located? Well, it's west of Magdalena, New Mexico, off of Highway 60, just west of where the bloody items were found. Could this area have significance? Could Girly be on this property somewhere? I think there's a chance that its proximity to the location of the evidence found isn't a coincidence. I had to go out there and see it for myself. While I still believe Girly could have been placed in this area because of the very large array, I don't think that this connection would lead to finding her body. I was severely underestimating how much area the very large array covers. When I had reached the first satellite, my map said I was still 12 miles from the main office and visitor center, located at the center of the array. It's a truly massive area surrounded by even more wilderness. The sad reality is, it's not likely Girly will ever be found. This story is about the loss of an innocent life. It is about a murder, but there's more to it than just that. It's about influence, manipulation, the desire to feel that you're in the right group, in the small minority that know the real truth about the world, and about how intoxicating and sometimes dangerous that feeling can be. If you found this video interesting, I'd be honored if you subscribed. If you want to watch another one of my videos where I travel to real locations to tell real stories, click this video. I'll see you there.